Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Today is Thursday, April 22nd. A couple red folders on the euro, 7:45, which is in about another 15 minutes. And at 8:30, so 7:45, 8:30 for the euro, and that pretty much takes care of that for the bulk of the day. And let's check out the news on the, let's see, where's the new news for today on the 22nd? Show more. There we go.
I have an explanation about the Canadian dollar yesterday, why it went through the roof, just for the people who trade fundamentals, which I don't. I'm purely as close to exclusively technical trader as possible, but I can explain to you what happened to the Canadian dollar.
Go ahead. Let me finish this, and then you can do that while I'm trying to get my screen up.
For sure.
And so then we do have some other news here at, let's see, this is 7:45 this morning. That's in 11 minutes with the euro. So be aware of the euro this morning, and there's a little bit here at 8:30 with the US dollar job claim report. So just be in mind that there's some news announcements coming out early this morning. So, and with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Can you share your screen now, Matt?
Yeah. You're not up and running? Or?
I'll stop sharing. Yeah, it's not yet. I have to, I've got
to
find my password and all that sort of stuff here.
Oh, so, no worries. Go ahead.
So go ahead. All right. So I stop sharing, and you can take it away. And I'll be, as soon as I can find it, I will be ready to rock and roll.
Well, I was, someone said in the chat, they thought it was aliens. I would have been happier if it was aliens. What actually happened is the Bank of Canada took over the 84% of the debt that the government has been generating over the course of 2020. So we're talking like hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. It just absorbed it. And that's why the dollar went through the roof.
And that was for COVID relief, right?
COVID, lots of stuff, like lots of messes, lots of payouts, lots of whatever disasters. Basically.
Morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. So basically the Bank of Canada said, oh yeah, we're going to take all the debt from the government that is produced in 2020, and we're going to erase it pretty much. We're going to absorb it all. And that's why the dollar went through the roof. So basically it's not a good sign for the Canadian economy as a whole. It's not good, because now what they did is they just printed all that money to erase that. So they're we're looking for some rough seas ahead. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I got my charts up. Let me go and.
Nice. All right. Cool, man.
Yeah, just a little. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, for some reason my VPS rebooted or something like that. So it's probably still running the trays, but it wasn't on my screen. So anyway, here
that's
we are.
Okay.
We're back up and running. So let's see what have we got here today. So right now we're looking at. I haven't really looked at anything yet because it wasn't up yet. So right now it looks like we have a few 5-minute. There's a 30-minute alert here on the British Aussie. I do kind of like the British pound trades this time of day because we're still into the London session. And right now we're in the crossover between London and the New York session. There is a down arrow, 30-minute chart. Let me get my other. First thing I do is I pull my template up so I have all my moving averages loaded in. And I've got that. And so I see we are in a downtrend with the moving averages. All the moving averages are in the right direction. These two haven't quite crossed over the 200 yet, but the arrow moving average, the 62 exponential, the 13 and the 5, which is this green one here, they're all in the right direction going to the downside. Here's our arrow. From the arrow, we have down to the zone, we have 26 pips. Now we're on a 30-minute chart, so a lot of times, but we still have the 20 pips, so that's a good thing. So let's go to a 15-minute chart. We're already at a zone right now. You can see that right. So right now, as you go to the lower time frames, you got a little bit of a barrier here. So we really can't take that trade with that, knowing that's right there. And also we have a couple of 15-minute zones. But I'll go back to the 30-minute chart. We'll kind of keep an eye on this one. I'll mark where the arrow is, where the entry to the arrow would be, or this on the 30-minute arrow. And if it can break through some of those other zones, which is right here, then we can maybe have a little shot at it. But when you have those lower time frame zones right in front of these higher time frames, you just have to be a lot more patient. And probably have to give a little bit more of a stop, just because you're dealing with higher time frames. The higher the time frame, the bigger the stop needs to be. So we're going to pass on that trade for right now, but we'll kind of mark it and just see if we'll keep it in the back of our minds. And let's see over here with the British US. This is a 5-minute chart. And like I said, if I have 15 pips to the zone, I'll consider taking the trade. Less than that, I generally don't. This one has 13, 14 pips. That's pretty darn close. So it's worth a consideration. We'll check that out. First, I need to get my chart up, get my template up, load my template, get all my moving averages in. And right now the moving averages are, I like the fact this one is come up to the arrow moving average. Yellow came up, but it hasn't crossed, and now it's pointing back down. So this one doesn't look to be too bad for at the moment. Not saying we're going to take it, but so right now it's passing some of the tests of the trade. And so we're going to go to, I said, remember, I'm on a 5-minute chart now. With 5-minute chart, I rarely go for more than 7 pips on a 5-minute chart. And let's see, and I'm going to check my RCS tool to see where it is with this pair right now. How strong is the, we're looking at the British USD. So let's take a look and see how strong they are. So the British is weak. The USD is stronger on that, on the 5-minute. British is weak, weak, weak. So that means we're going to be trading to the strength of the dollar. The dollar's we have a 4-point spread over here. We have a 4-point spread here that passes that test. So I could take that one and we can go for 5 pips. So with that one, I will go with we're a little bit out of the chute. We're getting a little bit out. We're having a little bit of a pullback right now, which is good. So I'm going to put from here to here, we have 10 pips. I'm going to go for 7. That puts us right into right near the bottom of this. That still gets into this wick, and I'm going to do a sell stop on this one. So I'm going to right click, trade, sell stop. Puts my sell stop right here, and I'm going to slide this down just a little bit, so that as this thing pulls back, it's not getting me in the trade until it comes back down through that. And then we're looking at a 5 pip target or a 7 pip target. So it's 139.00. We'll call it 139.02. So 138.95 will be the target on this one. And 139.02 is it? 138.95. We'll call it 1.3895. 1.3. I'm going to turn my light on. There, that's better. So we have 1.3895 for the target. That's right here at the bottom of this. And we'll put a stop. I'll go 15 pip stop. So that's be 139. 16. And 139. 16, that's our 15 pips. Modify that. So our stop is up here. And if it comes back down through, gets us in the trade, we're going to go for 5 pips and keep an eye on it, see where it is, see what it does. So that one's live. and let's see, what else do we have here?
Al, can I just confirm with you quickly the moving averages that you're using in addition to what comes with Arrow? You use the 200, the 5, the 13, and the 62. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and they're all exponential moving averages. The purple one is the 200. That's one you'll see with a lot of times some of Nate's sessions and stuff. They use the 200. I've always, when I was doing the Ivers sessions, I like using the 62 exponential, which is the orange one. The blue one is the Arrow moving average. The 13 is the 13 exponential. And when I get all 4 of those moving in the right direction, and I have the strength on the RC, on our, we'll call it our Hercules, because that's what we're calling it now. When I have all the moving averages in strength, we have the Arrow, and everything's moving in the right direction with enough room for a target, I'll take that trade. And this pretty much tells you which direction is going in. Now we can go and scroll in and out on the heat map or on the chart to see how many red zones and how many green zones. Right now you can see it looks like we have 4 and 4. But usually if the moving averages, if the 200 moving average is pointing down and all the other moving averages are in the right direction, you're pretty well safe that nothing's 100%, but you're pretty safe to be able to grab your 5 pips out of that. Even if it's a contra trend move, everything's still moving in the right direction. And just try and keep your stop out of harm's way. So I will keep an eye on that. Right now, that's about 0 on there. So we're about at break even on that one right now. We just got into the trade. We do have a little bit of a trend. Now, one thing we have to pay attention to is then note is that we had a low, a high, a higher low. So the question will be is if this little pivot can get broken, or is it going to come down? Now, I got my target right here, but remember, I have to be able to get through the spread in order to get that to fill. So, but we do have to be aware of the fact that this was a strong move down, pulled back, retested it. So we do have a little trend line right here. Now the question is if we can get a little bit of a head fake. If this little area right in here, if it can come down, break, fill my trade, and if it comes back into the wedge, then we may be looking at a reversal of this. But right now I'm still okay with taking this. And so right now this is, and my stop is outside on the other side of this wedge here, which is a good thing. I like that. And let's take a look at the Euro Swiss. Again, right now looking at this from the first look at it, it's already up into the zone. We had an arrow. This doesn't look like this is going to be much of a trade, but we'll take a little closer look at it. Let's see, we're going to load that. And the moving average are in the right direction, but we would need more of a pullback on this before we could get into it. Let's see what the let's see. Come over here, and well, the pips are still good on that one. I have a pullback. Let's see what kind of this one's probably going to be moving out. This 200 is right, kind of going flat across here in between these two. I don't know if we have enough what the zone range is. So on this one is 50. That's only a 23 pip range on this whole zone right now. And if we look and see where our direction of where our strength is to the, looks like we have 3 zones and 3 zones. So there is a pretty much right equal in that regard. So if we had a stronger pullback, we may be able to get something. But right now, that's kind of a no trade. I'm just going to take that one off. Look over here with the British cat. That's one of my favorite pairs. This one always has lots of volatility, especially when it comes to the rising oil prices. That's affects the Canadian dollar quite a bit. So again, here's the arrow. I'm going to check and see what kind of range I have down to the bottom here, and that's only 9 pips. So it's already kind of a no-go. So let me mark the. If we have a, let's see where the range, see where the trend is on this one. And remember, check the trend on the time frame which you're trading on. I prefer to be doing this on the 15 to start with. And you can see right now, this is clearly in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. Arrow up. So we're going to mark this over here. And that's on the 15 and scroll out. And we do have here was a bounce arrow go, but that's already into the zone. This one would have, let's see, with this one, I'm not sure this would have had 20 pips. Yep, 31 pips. If you would have had to catch this one in the middle of the night, this was right around right around 2 o'clock this morning. About 2:30 this morning. So again, this one's not really a tradable trade right now, so we're going to pass on it. And we just got a Euro Swiss. I'm going to pass on this one.
Actually, I have a request, Al, if
Okay.
when you have a moment.
All right. We
A
got
CAD Swiss and an Aussie Swiss, if you could check those out when you're done with these alerts.
okay. Hang on. Got something else set up here before I forget. CAD Swiss. Okay, let me finish this one, and then we'll go to CAD Swiss and Aussie Swiss. You say?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let's check this one out here first. Well, this one's already same type of thing, already up into the zone. No trade there. So CAD Swiss.
Philip's been shorting both of these now, he says, for hours. Light drawdown, but he'd like your analysis on it.
Yeah, this one we had bounce arrow with a go. It's been kind of a tight range here. Let's see. Let me pull up the Aussie Swiss before I forget which other one it was that you wanted to take a look at. Aussie.
It's got the 5 minute, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a 15. I'll put them on the 15. Are we talking about 5 minute or 15?
Preferably? Oh, it's a 15-minute. I'm just saying, if you've got a 5-minute alert on it, 15-minute, he traded it on.
Okay. All right, so here's the alert here on. Now there's lots of room to the downside. Well, it looks like I don't even see a green zone here yet. Oh, there it is. If there is the arrow, here's the down move, 25 pips. That's good. Let's check the direction. First, let me get my moving averages up here. Template, load. There's my template. And our moving average, we have a nice little crossover moving average, and this may have already hit the target on this one. It's only 9. Well, if you went for 5 pips, you have got it. This one's kind of in the middle here right now. Okay, I like the downward trend on this one. Let's see where our overall trend is on this. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So we are in a downtrend. And let's see. Get my arrows, mark those up. Arrow down trend right here. There's our downtrend. Scroll out a little bit. Here's our trend line. So this trend is following this trend. Here's the anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. Here's a fake out right up in here. I like this little zone. I would look at. I'm going to move this one. I'm going to move this one down to this one. See how this looks. I kind of like this trend but it kind of got broken. There's a little bit of there's a head fake. It's kind of trying to break out through up here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another trend line channel. I'm going to try and parallel that first one. I'm going to move these together. That gives me a little bit of a channel in here. And so we're looking at, here's the down arrow. And see where our target would be. And I'm going to check and see where the strength is on this one. So we're looking at the Aussie Swiss. Not seeing a real clear, I'm seeing more strength to the Swiss to the downside, so that's a good thing. I'd say just hold the line on this one if you're already in this trade. It does have, you're in the right direction. You may take some heat on this, depending on where you got into it. Right now, I'd say unless it breaks this upper channel, I'd be more apt to stay in. And actually, you have your money zone is right in here. Here's your money zone. And if it breaks the upper range of the money zone, then I would be getting out of it probably. But right now, the top of this money zone is right here at the top. You can see where the shaded area is. And so if it breaks this line here going up, I'd probably have my stop on the other side of that. Because that way, if it closes above that line, it's probably going to come up and retest this area. And that could give you, that'd be be taking about another 9 pips. Now, if you have a 40 pip stop, you're probably still way up here and you're probably still good. Depends on what kind of stop you're using, but I would say I'd be looking that this thing might, if it breaks the top of the zone, I would say maybe beware. Let's see, so that's that one. And the other one was the CAD Swiss 15-minute chart. Let's get moving averages in here. And then we have a Euro Swiss.
The Euro Swiss is in the zone.
It's in the zone, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
And it looks like our trade here is starting to work out here. I'm 4 pips into it right now on the plus side. And let's see, what else do we have here? CAD Swiss we're talking about. Here's the money zone. Let's mark that. Actually, let me get my moving averages in here. And right now, the moving averages are not really, what are they doing here? They're not really in the right, they're in the right position to go short, except for the fact we got this bounce off of this one. So I don't like that. If it breaks, and here's our money zone. And we have the upper part, let's see, did it break through? It did break to the downside. This thing could have been like a little bit of head fake from where the lows of the bodies were overnight to the low here. That was 13 pips. You never quite got your 20 pips out of that. So that could be a problem. And a lot of times if it breaks through the upper part of the zone, which is going to be this right here. Right now, I'd say it's still kind of range bound between here and here. It's range bound. It did get a bounce off of this 200 moving average. So right now, I say it's still going sideways. I'd like to see a break one way or the other. Preferably, I'd like to see a break to the downside because you have more room to the downside. And let's see where our zones are. It is in a downtrend. So I say I would stay out of it until it clears this little bounce low here. Right now it's just trading, it's just range bound. And the range here is 22 pips. Not a bad range all in all, but you'd have to be able to get a really good entry to be able to go for what you're looking for. Looks like I just got my trade. Let's see, I think I just got just got filled on that first trade there. That's good. One in the bag already. Let's see, Euro Swiss. We did take a look. This is right up in the zone. No trade there. And let's see, how about on a 30-minute British Aussie? And that's got room to the downside. Moving averages are good. That's the one I just did, isn't it? That was British US I did. Move that one over here, so that one's done. British US, British Aussie. Let's take a look at that one. The British is still weak across the board. The Aussies not all that strong, so I'd pass on this. Looks like we have room to the target on this 15-minute. 26 pips there. That's on a 30-minute. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. We're right into the zone on 15. We're right into the zone on the 5. We'll just pass on that one. Same way with this one's already in the zone. We're pretty much done with that. And let's see, we already talked about that one. US Swiss. Let's take a look at the US Swiss. This is to go to the upside on the 5-minute chart. First, I'm checking to see how much room we have. From there to there, we only have 7 pips. No go. Any questions so far? How are we doing on the question answers here?
We're good.
Okay.
For now, we're good.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, points of discussion? It seemed like it was a whirlwind morning here so far.
It was actually pretty quick.
It was pretty quick.
Locking in some good trades, some good profits, and
Look at that candle.
Let's take a look at that German 30. This German 30 treated me very well yesterday.
yes, and I will tell you that I'm in a buy. It's just that I can't qualify it based on arrow.
So let's see, or on a, let's see here, we've got I can't tell with the heat map what it's doing as far as that goes. So that's not an indicator that I have at my disposal for this one. Let's see. I do have it on another chart, so I can maybe see what maybe it's doing with that.
We just got an alert to buy.
Oh, really?
Alert to buy German 30.
Okay, so now you can qualify German 30 for a buy. Now I've been in it since 7:46.
I'm gonna go to a 1-minute chart here.
Yeah, I took a little bit of heat, and
you did.
Well, it's not bad, man. Like it's like 10 pips of heat, and then I put another position at the bottom. So when I took the heat, I put a second position. I used very small positions on German 30 because of the way that it moves. So I'm always 0.01. And then the way that I've been doing it, it's been, knock on wood, like I'm not losing.
Well, let me see here. I've got a thought process going on here. Looks like it has room to the upside. It has room to the upside, but not based on the arrow.
No. Because the arrow gives you the red zone up there.
Yeah, here's where the alert was. We do have this red zone, so we're going to be looking at. By the time I figure this out, it's probably going to be already done. Here's 81.
This is kind of late, to be honest. This is late because it's already bounced off of my Bollinger Band. At the bottom side. So this is kind of out of the chute. It's going to happen again, though. There's going to be another opportunity. But right now, it's pretty much, she's pretty much done there.
Let's do an analysis on this one, just as we look and see where, I'm going to see where our moving averages are.
Yeah.
You can see we have all the moving averages are pointing in the right direction. Here's the 5, the 13, the arrow and the 62 are just about ready to cross. But you have everything's crossed everything crossed over the 200. Everything's just about ready to cross over the 62. It is moving in the up direction. Now, as we scroll down, now see what I'm on a 1 minute.
I just closed my trade. So I close my trade once I see the first, this candle here that's forming. Once I see that on the 1 minute chart, I close my trade. And then I look for another setup.
Yeah.
So
what I'd be looking at with this one, I'm looking at right now, it looks like it's in an uptrend. Our moving average is in an uptrend. Again, I'm on the 5 minute chart with the indexes. I'm going to draw the Fibonacci from the last candle to leave the zone to the top of the highest candle in the next zone. And you can see it came back, it pulled back 62%. And so, and then it's, so with that type of a pullback, let me see here, 62, that's a pretty strong, and that's about as strong of a pullback as I would care to have on this one. But it didn't make it only got up to the 23 and it was rejected again. I've been working on some techniques with these moving averages. Right now I'm looking at, with that strong pullback, I'm going to change gears here. The fact it came to 62, and right now we have a downward trend going on this one.
So I'll let you know if I see a short opportunity. Right now, it's not ready for a short, but it's priming up for a short.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Here's a high, here's a hit. Now, if it can come up, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse this Fibonacci, because right now I'm seeing this thing is somewhat in a range. So we're looking at, I'm going to take this one off. Delete that, and I'm going to go in the other direction with it. And so right from here, here's the high, here's the low, and here's the 61% retracement off of that move. I would say that in this particular case, if it were to break through the 62, if it comes up and tests the wedge, or the top of the wedge, and I'm not going to do that. That would be contra trend, and I'm not going to do that. Right now, I'm not seeing any real clear direction. What I am seeing, though, is that you have a range right now. And actually, what you have is you have right now it's inside, you have a downtrend line, and you have an upward trend line. So it's actually built a wedge. And so right now, as long as it's inside this range, I would be staying out of this thing. Once it breaks, then you may be able to being able to see where it starts to trend down into this area. But right now, as long as it's, if it breaks the upside, you have this little area right here from here's the anchor from the first hit to the break of the wedge. I'd be looking at this as being an area to possibly take it short, but it'd be still kind of a risky trade because you're still in somewhat of an uptrend. But I'd be concerned about, I would look at this area as more like a trap. If it breaks up to you have a red zone, if you get the break of this trend line, it become up, and if you can't get it close above that, it's probably going to reverse on you. So this Fibonacci line really doesn't play into the equation at this point in time because there's really no clear direction to it. Right now, you're looking at bounces, a bounce here, looking to see if we get a bounce up here. But by this time, you're looking at a pretty narrow range between here to here. You're looking at, let's see, from price. 52, 275 to 263. So you're looking at a $12 move, which could be significant, but I've got to see a little bit more of a range on that, on this one. So it will pass. We'll keep an eye on it though.
Yeah, I still have it priming up, so it's not quite ready for the short, but I do see the short setting up. Let's put it that way.
Just trying to check something out here. Yeah, right now it's still inside of a wedge that I'll just kind of stay out of it. It does seem to have a little bit of upward pressure, so I'd be looking more of having to bounce off of here. Actually, break if we can get a nice break of this, it's still gonna have to get through this moving average. But all the other moving averages are still kind of saying it's still in an uptrend. So I would say a bounce off of this trend line might give you room to maybe get more to the upside. It'd be interesting to see what this thing does right in here. S&P, let's see what we have with the S&P here. Actually, I have an S&P chart already up, which I was looking at from last night. And this on the 15-minute. Looks like the German 30 wants to break to the upside.
Yeah, it sure does. I'm just looking to see if there's a potential.
The S&P is not giving us any clear direction. Let me pull a template up here. Uh, 15, go to the 5. Tell you what, let me try this again here. I'm going to take that one off and pull this one up. See, I'm not getting any arrows on that chart. Not getting on this one either. Yep, German 30 is breaking through the top. Let's take a look at that real quick here. This one's not seeing anything to take. Looks like it's got some pressure to the upside. Here, this could be a nice little W being formed here. Here's those down move. Here's the middle of the W. Here's the second. You got the trend. You have pressure to the upside. All the moving averages are in the right direction, but you got to get through this zone. That's what I don't like about this one. Go to a 1-minute chart. We have a little bit more room to the upside here. This would probably be the first zone you'd be looking at. And that would be about $12 move, I think. $13 move. $291 to 84 at $6-7 to the upside. Seems to be respecting this hit off of the trend. You pretty much have to have your stop, at least on the other side of these moving averages. On the 1-minute chart, then that'd be pretty tight. Yeah, I'm still saying it's not real. I gotta stay out of this one. It's tempting though, but it's in that red zone and no real. It's starting to wither away here a little bit.
I've got a Q&A EJ on the rise.
EJ. Euro yen.
Alerts, that was there.
No alert on that one. Let's take a look at the 15 minutes, see what it's,
Yeah, I don't
breaking out. There's a balance. This was the bounce. Here's the arrow on this one, 15-minute. Here's where the entry on this one, first arrow. This is the second arrow.
Right.
Now we can take a look at it and see what it looks like on the 5-minute chart. We'll go down when we get the two arrows. We'll go down to the next time frame. Let me mark this one. Wait, first, let me get my template up. And load my template.
I think that's the reversal here, Al, on German 30. Just as a,
Looks like it still could have some room to the upside, but it's
I'm curious.
yeah, it's right now it's range, but I don't know where to go with. I'm not sure where to get into that one. So
No, it's no worries. It's no worries. I'm just saying that I decided to
Yeah.
go in. We'll see what happens.
there's the second arrow. Go to the 5-minute chart. See where our zone is. We got a zone sitting right above it. We wouldn't have had a lot of room to the we really didn't get. That was on a 15-minute chart that we got that alert. Wouldn't have given us a lot. Actually, this 15-minute chart, that was like an hour ago. 5-minute. Let's go to 5-minute.
That big move would have been the move to be in, I think.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what happened to if it was on was it a 15-minute chart that we had that arrow? I guess,
Yeah.
but that was like, no, back at, see, 7:15 this morning. That was, like I said, that was an hour ago. But, this was a bounce arrow, but actually on this 15-minute chart, you had the first one right here. That certainly would have been a nice move if you were there at let's see, that would have been at 5:30 this morning when the first arrow hit. Let's see, what else have we got here?
Euro red folder next 15 minutes. James is telling us.
Okay.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
good to know.
Yeah.
That could play with the DAX for sure.
Okay, we had an Aussie yen just come in too. Yeah.
Aussie yen. Actually, I need to check something else here if I can find it. Aussie yen, and we'll also check the Aussie US. Aussie yen, 15-minute.
Ooh.
In the zone. No trade there. Aussie, I'm gonna check out the Aussie US. This was at 8:15, which was right about now. This was an iris alert that we just got for a wedge. I should kind of like this one here. Actually, this 20 pips, Aussie US. Let's see where the heat map says on that one. US is strong. US is strong. Aussie is weak. We could get 5 pips out of this one possibly. Let's see if there's a 5-minute zone anywhere. Let's see where moving averages are. Try and get the routine. Check everything out before, check out where they're moving. Ooh, look at that. All the moving averages in the right direction. Strong move down. Let's get a little bit of a base on here. Looks like we have room to the downside. We got 20 pips to the downside. And we have strength of the dollar strength to the Aussie. I'll take that one short. Modify. And I'm going to go for 15 pip stop. It's 150 on that one. 7 pip target. Boom, boom, and boom.
It's a lot of booms, Al.
Yep, bada boom, bada boom. I would like to keep my stop on the other side of this. Well, I've got on the other side of these moving averages. But here's a target zone. Let's go to 15 minute and see how that looks on the 15 minute. It was a little bit higher on the 15 minute. We'll be well out of that trade by that time. I like where this arrow came in. There was a bounce. So right here is when this arrow off the bounce came in, the arrow was right here. So the entry would have been right off of this area. It's really basically coming down to retest that area. My stop is above that. So if this thing's just coming down to retest this little area, and you can see where it broke this little wick. This little wick right over here broke the wick and it closed below. That tells me this thing's coming all the way down to here. And I've got my target just a little bit above that.
Does that answer your question, Edwin? Actually, there was a question Edwin's asking. Aren't you late in that Aussie-US trade?
Not really. This was a confirmation. This was a confirmation right here. Strong move down. And we'll see what kind of a pullback we get. But all the moving averages are now the higher on the 15-minute chart. The moving averages haven't quite all crossed, but the 5's crossed, the 13's crossed, and the we have a little cross right here of the arrow moving average and the 62. So they're all kind of moving in the right direction for me on the 5-minute chart. So I'm still okay with this. I might take a little heat on it, but right now on the 5-minute, all the moving averages are in the right direction. If it comes up, I would maybe expect it to come up and check this this one out right there. If the price comes up and closes above this yellow moving average on this 5-minute chart, I may think about getting out of this trade. But right now, if I'm looking from this thing seems to has strong momentum down. I'm going to draw a Fibonacci on this. I'll go from here down to here. And as long as it can stay underneath this 38% retracement, I'm okay with it. So we'll keep on going down. Put on a 1-minute chart. Expand it out a little bit here so you can see a little bit better. If I get more than the 38% pullback, I may start thinking this thing might start retracing. As long as this thing can come up to 38% or less, then then I can still stay in this trade till it gets to my target. Let's see here. What else do we have here?
Is that Aussie yen new?
Aussie yen. No, that one. I think we already looked at that one.
Did we look at that one? Oh yeah, that was that ugly.
Yeah.
ugly mess.
Actually, I probably can move this thing over. Here's this one actually did hit, so I can move this thing over right there. Now I'm looking at a nice little, if I pull this back to where this first pullback was, you can see it came back to 30% and went lower. Once it broke down, here's the next one, came back to the, stayed under the 38%, went lower. So right now, this is almost like the third. Now this could be a little bit more of a retracement on this. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then there could be another one down here too where my target is. So as long as this stays, as long as these moving averages are coming down, it could test this one. It could give me a little bit deeper retracement to the 50%. But right now I'm looking at this zone. Rectangle in here. There's my 38% retracement. If it comes up into this area and rejects, then I can expect this thing to come back and at least get my target to my target range. And my target then would be, the first one would be the, well, it would have to, my target's down here, but if it gets to the 38% retracement, then I could be looking at this as my next, as my ultimate target. My target's way before then. Let's see how deep this retracement goes. But I do like the fact all my moving averages are all moving in the right direction. And we may take a little heat on this one, but like I said, we have a 15 pip stops way up here. It looks big on the 1 minute chart, but it's really not that, we're not really looking at that much so far. This is a little stronger retracement than the other two. But the US is still strong to the Aussie. And the dollar is, the US dollar is still, it's the second currency of the pair, which gives the strength to the downside. And you have a little bit of a trend line. If you draw on this, you'll see where you had, here's the first pullback. There's the second pullback. I have to eyeball it there a little bit. See the trend line still holding. It's well below the 38%. And actually, I could probably bring my stop down all the way down to this, tighten my stop up a little bit to this moving average. If it breaks through this area, it's probably it could very well come up and go higher. I'll try and keep this above, at least 5 pips above the 62 here, this 62% retracement. So 77.48 would be a good spot for my stop. That's 5 pips up there, 48. I say everything looks a little bit bigger on this time frame. And British New Zealand, let's see. You can take a look at it, but I don't think I'm going to like it. That's on a 30-minute. We got a zone right here on the 30-minute. Here's the alert. I'll put it on a 15-minute chart and see what that does. And there's still not a lot of room here from where it is right now. From the alert to here, that would have been a nice little, but we never got the alert until a few minutes ago.
Yeah, for the record, Al, on this chart in the chat room, Nate was saying that the Arrow EA took that trade this morning.
The Arrow EA, so it actually has it automated?
He does.
Oh yeah, it's in progress. It's a work in progress, man.
Yep.
Oh, well.
He got the EA got 20 pips out of that move right there.
That is not a bad move at all.
I have a question for you, Al. From
Okay.
Pepper, do you still use your 15-minute stop on volatile pairs like the pound yen?
I use my 15-minute stop on pretty much all the charts. If I take the trade, let's
Sorry,
usually start with
15 pip. 15 pip, not 15-minute.
I sometimes do. Yeah, for the most part. Usually if it's, yeah, I don't usually change my stop too much. I mean, if I'm not going to sit and monitor the trade, I may go with, go with the 40 pip stop or the 20 pip target. But if I'm sitting here like I am this morning, I pretty much lock in on the 15-minute. 15-minute plus or minus whatever the chart tells me. In other words, if my 15 pip stop is, say, it's like right here, I may give it a little bit more room to take it on the other side of the zone. I like to have some barriers beside my stop. But if I do that, I'll be watching to see. More often than not, I'm going to be out of my trade before it hits that stop. But I'll move it. I'll set it up for the 15. But I want to have a barrier. But on the same token is that if my 15 pip stop is way up here, and I see all my moving averages are right here, I may move it down to, because if it breaks those moving averages, it's probably going to start reversing in a different direction. So I'm pretty much I try to stay pretty much with that 15-minute. 15 pips, sorry. And I usually, my main focus chart is the 15-minute chart is my main focus. And once I look at it, I'll look and see where the 5-minute zone is or even a 1-minute zone. And a lot of times I'll follow it off of a 1-minute or a 5-minute just to catch those early reversals if it starts going against me. Or to give me the confidence that it's going to stay with the program. Let's see, Aussie US. Let's see what that one's doing here. You see where it came back. Right now, it hasn't broken this area, but right now it's just sort of basing a little bit. But
That Kennedy? I thought you had school. Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh, good.
Get my kid to school here.
Oh, skipping school now.
I like the fact that this thing came up, it stayed underneath that 38% moving out. As long as it stays, if I'm in the trade, as long as it can stay below that 38, I'm a pretty happy camper. If it goes up into that 38 zone, I'm a little bit more wary about it. And certainly if it gets up into 61, I may be thinking about getting out of the trade. If it gets up into 38%, I'm okay. If it starts breaking into the 50, I may be out of it before. If it doesn't seem like it's going to reverse out of this area, then I would be maybe getting out of the trade and maybe waiting for a better entry, because oftentimes it may go a little bit deeper, especially if these moving averages start turning around and start crossing some moving averages. But right now, I'm still good with this trade. We took a little bit of heat on it, but even that was from here to where we got in. It was what, 4 pips. Now it's got a little zone right here, so we have to be a little bit cautious about whether or not it's going to break through that. Again, I'm on a 1-minute chart. So that's just a little 1-minute zone. This is where I'll check my heat map to see is everything still in line with the strength of the Aussie. The dollar is still strong, still strong, still strong on all four of those. So we're looking at, and the Aussie is still weak. Nice spread on the Aussie to the US on the 5 minute, nice spread on the 15, nice spread on the 30 minute. I'm still good with the downward pressure on this. Yeah, looks like we have a couple of new little alerts here. We have a CAD Swiss. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, this might have some possibility. This mark our, let's see, it has an up arrow. Let's get our template up here. Load. Let's see, our moving averages are somewhat confused right now. Let's see what our trend is on this. And we're looking at we have 1, 2, 3, 4 red zones, 1, 2, 3 green zones. These are kind of, when they're that close together, I almost count that as a 1 zone, 2, 3, pretty much equal on that one. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart and see what we have there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Still favors the downside. And let's go over to spread out here a little bit. And let's see, let's put it back on the 5-minute chart to see where the arrow was. And it's an up arrow. I'm seeing some confusion on this one. Not real clear to me. Here's the up arrow. Again, when it's not real clear, I just as soon stay away from it. I probably like a little bit better to the downside, but it'd have to break through this moving average. So right now, the range between here and here, 17 pips, no real clear directions. Right now, it's in the middle of the whole thing. I'll pass on this one. Maybe keep an eye on it. Let's see how our trade's doing here. Let's see, Aussie USD. Right now it's pacing. Now we could start getting a little bit of a turnaround on here. This little 1 minute zone seemed to have held, but it still hasn't broken through my 38% retracement. Still up pressure, still pointing down, still pointing down, still pointing down.
Boy, Al, the British pound is super weak now.
Pound is, yes, it is. How's our, let me see here, and the dollar is still relatively strong. So this thing still should be okay to the downside. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit, down a little bit though. I'm going to move my stop down to here. Keep it just above this moving average. Just tighten it up just a little bit in case I lose track of it while I'm looking at other things. Let's see, pound. Let's take a look at the pound USD. Pound USD, where's that? Right here. to look at that on the 15-minute. Let's see if there's any other alerts that we might have. Nope. Strong move down, little basing. I don't know there's enough room here to the downside. Well, 17, 19 pips. I kind of like this drop base. Let's see if we have anything on a 5-minute that might help us here. A little zone. This is the money zone right now, so it's making new lows on the money zone. So I get 5 pips out of this. 17 pips to the target down there. Pound is still weak. Dollar is still strong. I would like to have had an arrow on that. Let's see. How about a 1-minute chart? No arrows there. No arrows there. This was the origin of the move. I'd rather, yeah. I'd be happier if I saw an arrow someplace other than way up here. But this might be one that's, let's see, that's 49 pips. I think we can take that one. It's not an arrow, but it sure does have the potential of nice little trade on that. That's a 30-minute chart. That's why. I'd like to see a little more of a pullback on that. This would be one where it could maybe take a buy stop down here. As it pulls back. We'll just watch this one. I'm not going to take it since I didn't get an arrow, since I don't have an arrow. I have a feeling that once we get it, we may get an arrow if it breaks through that area right in there. And this is the British pound USD. Dollar is still showing significant strength. Let's go to 5-minute chart on this one. $18 pips. I'm going to do a buy stop on here because I think if this thing goes trade or sell stop rather, sell stop right there. I'm going to move it up. If it breaks out of the bottom of that green zone, it'll get me into the trade and my target will be down here. Right now we're trading to the strength of the dollar on all these pairs. So right now we have a setup for the British US and Aussie US. And we're profitable so far, not by a lot. It's just still kind of trying to get through this little zone right in here. Came up and made a red zone. That's good. So right now it's basing in between here. I'm just waiting for it to break out of the bottom. You see how this zone was formed below the right below my 38% retracement. This is where patience comes into play. Any questions?
All clear here for now.
Someone was asking if my settings were standard in the arrow. The only thing that's standard in the arrow settings is this blue moving average. That's standard in the settings. I put these other moving averages in, and if you're trying to figure out how to do that, what you do is come up here to the insert tab on the with the insert indicators. Come on down to where it says I think it's trending, the trending tab. Come over here to the moving average. Click on that, and then just put in your 5, your 13, and 62 and 200 exponential, and then set the color for whatever color you want, and then click OK. And that's how you set those up. And then you make a template. Then just go and you come over, right click, go to template, save the template, and then save it, give it a name. And then you can, that way, every time you get the alerts, you have to reload the template, but at least that way the template would be built up for you.
What color is 5, Jasmine?
5 is green, 13 is yellow. The arrow is default by the program. My orange is the 62, and my purple is the 200. All exponential moving averages. But you'll see that whenever I click on the chart, the only one that comes up is the blue. There's the blue one. That's the arrow moving average. So then what I do is once I make the template, I just right click, go to the template, load my template. I gave it a name. I just gave it arrow version 1. This is just the way I named it. Click on it. Click open, and then all your moving averages pop in there. Actually, this one looks pretty good. Right. Euro British. Actually, I kind of like this one, actually. This is on a 15-minute chart. Here's a strong move up, a little basing in here. I'm surprised there's not an arrow on that, but there's not. 22 pips to the upside. I prefer to have an arrow for a little bit more confirmation that the algorithm's working in my favor.
All right. Well, another great session. I got to prepare for the 9 to 5. So I got a couple things I got to work on.
Are you doing that one today?
No. my job.
Oh, your 9 to 5 job. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got a couple. I was thinking 9 to 12.
No, not today. I'll do it once a week, and even that is pushing with the other responsibilities I have. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had a good session yesterday. I think we had couple good opportunities. Oh, by the way, I did take German 30 short. Later on today, I'll and Eva and some other people, I'm gonna show how I'm using specific indicators in conjunction with Arrow to get these trades.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I'm not. I'll be honest, I'm not losing trades anymore. I'm ending every day in either positive or break even.
That's great. That's
good.
Great. Yeah, I almost called you Al.
Maybe someday I'll be able to trade with like Al, but for right now, listen, it's every day is break even or positive. So, and it's not there is a little learning curve to it, but I mean, and you can't overtrade it, okay? Because it's going to screw your head up. But more to come because it works in conjunction with Arrow. Arrow adds another layer of confirmation to it.
Oh, good. Well, it's something we can add into the mix if it's proves to be effective.
I think you'll see it, Al. I think you'll see it. And it's something that you don't need proprietary indicators to do.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So over the next week and a half, I'll have something ironed out, and maybe we'll add that to the indices and let everyone play with it and see if they can get that. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go, but
Okay.
thank you for the great morning, and we'll see you guys
Matt.
sooner
Have
than
a good
later.
day.
All right. Have a great day at work, Matt.
Will do. And CB, if you're still there, my friend, let's talk later after some of the stuff I got to get through work. I'll be in contact with you.
Don't worry. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Al,
Yes.
can you show Jasmine, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, how you drag the indicator to count the pips? You know, when you were counting pips from current price to the next zone, that little
this
whatever it is, your cursor.
You mean like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, all I do is on my mouse, I just click on the little wheel on the mouse, and that brings up. So I could just, if I right click goes away. If I just click on that little spin wheel on your mouse, just punch the button on that. That brings up that little window, and then I left click and then drag it. Hopefully that answers your question.
Is that helpful?
You see how these moving average, you can see how this little zone just kind of held and just wasn't quite able to, I got me a little bit profitable and now it's pulling back again. So it's kind of getting down to the end of this run. So I said, I'm not going to give it a whole lot more room, but I mean, it's still hanging in below this 38 moving average. This could just be another pullback to retest the 38 and then go even deeper yet, but I'll still give it the benefit of the doubt for right now. Move this thing over here. We'll see if this zone holds. If this doesn't hold, then I may think about, if this doesn't hold and these moving averages start to change, turn around, start crossing. Right now, this 62 right now, and then I'm on a 1 minute chart, so keep that in mind. This one's still holding. Nothing's crossed or closed above that yet. If it closes above the 62 into there, it could go up a little bit higher. In which case I may just bail in this trade. And then if it decides to reverse back, then I'll keep an eye on this one. The British US just got filled. So let's see where that is. We had this drop, little basing drop. Now looking to see if we can drop into our target zone here. Right click, make sure I got my targets in here. 1570 and boom, it's right there. That should give me my entry on this one was at let's see, 3860. So my target would be 53. Let me modify that a little bit. Just a little bit further down. Let's see, what else do we have? Still nothing new on the iris alerts. Nothing since 8:15 this morning. Then we have about another 10 minutes on this session.
Yeah, 50 minutes.
Yes, time goes pretty quickly
been a
when
long
you're
week.
focused on what you're doing. Let's see.
8:50, 10 minutes.
See anything else we haven't talked about here that needs to be questions? Remember, any of your questions, put it in your question answer box.
So far, so good. I did give out your trade master's email to Brenda, so she'll be sending you an email right away. She'd like to try Hercules. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We will get you set up with that. Anybody using Hercules that has any questions on how to use it or how to set it up? Now's a good time to ask the question. The email should be fairly self-explanatory, but if you use TradingView at all, you should be a little familiar with it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, and Eva, keep an eye on Riot today.
Riot, it's
Yeah.
going back up, isn't it?
Well, they just had an announcement. I saw an announcement where they just bought $138 million worth of computers for the blockchain. So I'm expecting this thing's going to go back up. It's went from $36 to $41. So
Awesome.
so I don't know if it's the up move may have already been, the big upward move may have already happened because of the announcement, but it looks like it's starting to go back into the direction which we would all like to see it go.
That's awesome. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Riot yesterday. I was reading the Candlestick Bible yesterday. So I thought some of the stuff that I read, I thought, well, okay, let me try it out on Riot, because that's the one that's giving me the most angst at the moment. And the candles were actually showing, according to what I had just read, that it is going back up. But I thought, okay, this might take forever. So your news right now is very welcome.
Yeah. What time frame of the candles were you looking at?
I was looking at larger time frame. I was first off looking at the daily, and then the 4 hour, and at the end I'm looking at the 1 hour. So and I've got a Fibbo on it, and it's gone up to 23% retrace, and it still appears to have green candles in play. But until the market opens, we're not going to really know. So it might just gap up.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And if that goes up, then sure as shooting Hive's probably going to follow.
Yeah, that one needs to follow up as well. You see how this thing came back down? Right now we're looking at this Aussie US trade. We're still in this run. We had nice move down, came back up, still stayed within the 30, under 38%, came back down, retest. Now there is a little concern the fact that it may go up a little bit higher now that it retested that 38% area. And we do have some crossovers of our moving averages. The green crossed over. So this one I may go ahead and cut my losses a little bit here, but I want to see if it respects the 38. If it respects the 38, then the downward target is actually a whole lot better. It's all the way down here to 38 to, and actually, if we have a strong move down, now I would rather see this been basing a little bit, so I'm not really happy about that. If it just went down, came back up, and then just broke, then I would be looking at a possible target of all the way down to the 1-to-1, which has been all the way down to below this area here. The fact it's taking so long to base in here, it's liable to, if it comes up, it breaks into that 38% and closes and start the moving averages start changing, and then I'll get out and see how deep it goes. This thing could very well go up to the 30, the 50, or the 62 if it breaks. We still have a little, but right now we still have this higher moving average. By the time this thing gets up to the 50% line, this moving average may actually be coming down. It's already inside the 60 to 50 area. So I like the fact that my stop is still outside on the other side of this. Moving average is coming down. Right now, it's still at the 38%. This is a fairly much stronger pullback than what we've had. But the Aussie is, let's see where the Aussie is right now. When we look at our heat map, we'll see if this thing still qualifies Aussie US. US is weakening a little bit. The Aussie is still fairly weak. US is still stronger. So I think this is maybe just a stronger pullback. We'll see. I don't like the fact it broke this trend line and it's starting to go up here. So I may just go ahead and if I get a close inside this 38, then I'll probably close the trade and wait for it to go up higher and still look for another retracement. See what it looks like on the 5-minute chart. We still have this little area right here. If you look, if we expand this out, you have this little doji right in here, which is right in that area. It's still kind of like this, in this area, this little doji right in here. This is the origin of this strong move down. This is the origin of it. And we're about an hour away from, or half hour away from the U.S. market to open, and the dollar has lost a little bit of strength in the last half hour. But the British pound is still showing weakness, which is good for this first trade that we have here.
Mm-hmm. Now, 2-minute warning, Al.
Okay. And with that, since I'm not sure who's doing the trade room today, I'm not sure anybody is, but we were going to wrap it up here at 9 o'clock. And again, we thank everybody for coming in. Thank you for your questions. Hopefully we answered them. Where do you find the heat map? I think that, yeah, it basically, I call it the heat map. It basically is going to be called Hercules. Again, yeah, just in the chat box, Eva put the
Is that
chat.
from the Q&A? I answered that one already.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Looking at an old one then.
Nothing left that's not been attended.
Okay. Okay.
But I will put your email in there anyway. Trade Masters. For anybody that may want to give it a try that hasn't already.
Yeah, we're letting everybody have a chance to set it up, use it. And I'm not sure where we're going to go from here with it, but we're at least want to make it available for right now as a free trial version of it.
That was Matt Edwin. Edwin's asking the guy who left with the new strategy. That's Matt. He's still perfecting it, so he can't share it with us just yet.
CB, do you have any questions, comments, advice, information, or any of the above?
Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. Well, with that, I think it's about the witching hour here. So again, thanks everybody for coming in. We will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I would not plan on, we'll probably not take a lot of trades, if any. We had a pretty good week so far. These two trades I'm in right now, like I said, as long as it stays underneath that 38% moving average off this Fibonacci, I'm still good with this trade. Looking for seeing if it gets back down to my entry and can't break through that. If it can't break through this new low here, then I'm going to get out of this trade and call it a day. But so right now, as long as it's within this range right now, I'm good. As if it comes back, if it can't break this level right here, then I will get out. Probably it's close to break even. This is the first. This is the first positive move. Actually, I got in, took a little heat, got back to profit, take a little bit of heat. If it doesn't break the third time, then I'm going to be out. I'll just call this trade a break even or a small loss. So with that, take care, everybody. Thanks for coming in. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, Eva.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Eva.
See y'all tomorrow. Have a great evening, guys. Great day.